Yo, check it out. The duality of man, the purple and the green. Within me are two wolves. One's purple. What up, y'all? What's going on? Yeah, like what? My man. They're all going to be fighting like, trying to take the throne, like it's all going to be. Hold on. Let me fix this mic. What? I can't hear the music. What's Zoom audio device? It's one of my available microphones. Device. Sorry, y'all, we're fiddling with the knobs. Wait a minute. I'm watching the stream and I don't hear you. Say something. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, you're silent on the stream.
All right. Well, see, now you can hear me. Possibly.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Yeah,
There we
that's
go.
Yeah, I thought that was probably it.
How's it sound, guys? Sound good?
Yeah. Whoever's up on there, you got to let us know how we're
Who's in the
sounding, where we
YouTube?
test our levels. Do we have
the
some?
YouTube so we can
Yeah.
rope in some unsuspecting chuds?
That's what we're trying to do anyway. At least
Yeah.
now that we can simulcast, we got our simulcasting capabilities up and
Here,
running.
let me tweet out the YouTube link too.
Oh yeah.
What's our YouTube? YouTube.com/C/Unelectable Airwaves.
That's it.
Oh fuck yeah, spread it. I mean, if one of the chuds, like if one of the chud politicians has to, like they're gonna fight over who's the leader of the party, right?
Right.
I mean, Trump is saying he's gonna run again, right? I don't know if you saw those stories, but he's already talking about running again, which would fucking suck, right? Like,
well, yeah, I got that one up on that Reuters article that came out.
But like, if I mean, Gates wouldn't be the worst. I mean, he's terrible. But
they're all terrible, though.
Remember when he swore off corporate money, though? Right?
Yeah, I just the main thing I remember Matt Gaetz from is his his time at the hearings. That shit. See, we got David over here in the chat. He says if Trump runs again, they'll just fix the election again. Easy class. I wouldn't count on it, yo. I really wouldn't count on them being able to beat him again. I wouldn't count on a neolib being able to beat Trump again. I really wouldn't bet that. I wouldn't want to, and especially if it's Kamala instead of Biden. No, Biden is terrible.
I keep saying,
exactly.
They have
Biden
to do
is
something
bad.
good. They have to do something good.
Yes.
Right. Otherwise, anybody from the Democratic Party is going to have a hard time, because that's what happened. Is like we've been saying all along. It's like they know you're full of shit, right? Like,
yes.
They know that you're not like running that kind of campaign.
Here you go. Look, he's just another Obama shadow. I mean, he wrote Obama's coattails through the primaries. Essentially, what he did. So
Biden?
Yeah, Biden.
Yeah, he did, which sucked. And only reason he got in was because fucking of chaos, right? It was because of the
COVID, a recession,
yeah,
civil unrest.
Exactly, and Trump was objectively making it worse. So like,
yeah, who anybody around here voted for Biden? Because we didn't vote for Biden, but
no.
See, David is saying that the election was tinkered with, but not in the way certain people are claiming. That's what he thinks. So I don't think it was tinkered with. I just think that, everything happened way too in line with what people would have expected for it to be tinkered with in some way. I think that Trump,
it could have been, but
Trump just ran an inferior campaign from what he ran last time. I mean, that didn't help. So
exactly, like it's not like with Bernie in the primaries where it really felt like the results were going the opposite of the way they should have been.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like I was on the ground in Detroit knocking doors and didn't meet a single Biden person.
Yeah, and like here, there was no Biden presence until everybody dropped out on some like there was more of a Bloomberg presence than a Biden presence. So, let's go to, since we brought up Matt Gaetz, I might as well bring up the tweet.
I mean, like I said, I've been saying all along,
it's a funny little thing.
If I would not be surprised if they were cheating. I just haven't seen any evidence of it. Like I wouldn't put it past them at all. I just think, I just haven't seen evidence yet. And, it seems like the Republicans are looking very closely at everything. And I feel like they would find it if it was there.
Yeah. I feel the same kind of way about it. But all right, so here's Matt Gaetz. Thirst tweeting at Tiffany Trump.
What a fucking... So do you think he's trying to that's how he's going to secure the throne, is marrying into the Trump family?
Even if it's Tiffany, I think that would help his standing for some reason. Imagine Matt Gaetz.
Tiffany's fine, son.
Matt Gaetz marries Tiffany Trump. And then, yep, there you go. That was our comment on it. Matt Gaetz shooting a shot. Fuck it. Go for it, bro. Swing for the fences.
Well, I don't know. I really wish we could cross Trump off the list. Like, I don't want him to still be in politics, but it's not going to happen.
Voted for Trump, but karma for Trump when he messed with the votes. Yeah. I wouldn't. I mean, I'm not going to go vote for Trump. I wouldn't vote for Biden. I went third party. There was an option to do so. You could write in people, John, just to let you know. You could have wrote me in if you really wanted to. That would have been nice.
I mean,
that would have been nice.
Biden is terrible, but that doesn't mean Trump is good. Like,
no, it doesn't. Not by any
even
means.
if Trump, even if he was serious about the populist shit, and then he just was kind of cucked by the deep state when he got into office,
right? Or
cucked by the Republican Party when he got into office.
Yeah. Then
he's weak, and he didn't really care about doing any of the good shit he talked about. But if he ran on, if he actually did any of the shit he talked about in 2016, I would have forgiven his mishandling of COVID. I would have been down. He ran.
Because not for nothing, but he did run on a lot of good shit. I mean, he was talking about
fucking
stopping outsourcing, universal health care.
Yeah. If he had done any of that shit, I would have been given it much more consideration. I would have been willing to overlook the historic, fumbling of the response, right?
Right.
But it was just, he didn't do any of that shit. And
no,
he just
all he did was he
worse.
ran as a cookie cutter Republican. That's exactly what he did.
Exactly. He had just fear mongering and all the socialism stuff was just so fucking annoying.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get into a lot of that shit today because Jim Clyburn's going around, motherfucker. Be glad.
He say something else today?
Yeah, he was saying some more shit, and then we have a Dave Rubin clip about him responding to that.
The motherfuckers, it's like, if you have a different theory of the case, I'd like to see what proof you have for that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because the guy, that Liam Kerr asshole who wrote that article the other day that I was talking about, he was just lying. Like, everything he made up shit, tried to make it seem like the Lincoln Project was effective and Joe Biden was the only candidate who could have won this election.
Right.
And just all of this like revisionist centrism nonsense. It's just not true, and it's not backed up by the data. So like, if you guys, you know, if you have some data that shows that centrism is popular somewhere, because I really don't think it is. It's only popular in like, you know, bougie, like gentrified neighborhoods and like, you know, a few suburbs, not even all the suburbs, because a lot of the suburbs are Republican, but like the bougie suburbs, right? Like, do you see that? I tweeted something not too long ago. It was like a map of the Chicago results, and it had the areas where like Biden took the whole city by like 90%. It was like 80 to 90. But then the fair tax and Kim Fox, right, were also on the up. And Kim Fox is like, you know, Bernie endorsed her. She's, you know, trying to, you know, reform the criminal justice system. And the fair tax was, you know, going to tax the top 3%. So only people who voted against it, if you look at the map, was just all the like rich, fancy neighborhoods. And those people are like controlling the party, and they fucking suck. And I don't know how to get rid of them, but like that's who we need to reason with. And it's like,
right.
I personally think that the reforms, like the social democratic reforms that were on Bernie's platform, I think that even if it increased their taxes a little bit, you know, I think they would still have a better quality of life, just because like the things that they got in return for it, like, first of all, like not dying in a climate apocalypse, but like on top of that, they would have their health care. You get more value for the health care, right? The money you pay in taxes, you would get more value of that back for the services rendered, right?
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing, and you know, it's programmed into people's minds about the tax situation to begin with. So, let's see.
So we need to like.
So we got comments here, bro. See, I find it funny how Sanders comes close, but then all of a sudden he loses. I think they were messing with him. The only thing I like about Trump is he's got balls. Nobody has balls like Trump.
Yeah,
and
but
Biden's gonna make
dumb,
things
though.
Bad.
Like,
well, I think
I appreciate that about him, but he didn't use it in the right way, right? He would just use it to do more like, you know, reactionary shit. Like he would own the libs, but he would own them in a dumb way. Like he would own them in a way that was like not better.
Yeah, like don't wear a mask to own the libs. That's a good idea.
Shit like that, and not like the shit he's doing now. Like he's looks like he's fucking with the Pentagon, right? Like he fired the what's his name, the Secretary of Defense. And it looks like he's cleaning house at the Pentagon. Like I read something in Politico this morning where it was like firing a bunch of people, and he's going to try to force through the troop withdrawal. Shit like that. Like that's the kind of stuff that I was looking forward to him doing, right? Just draining the swamp, actually draining it, right? And filling it with people who were in line with his vision. Because and to the extent that he drained the swamp at all, he drained it and put in worse, swamp like monsters? Less competent. Yeah, just as corrupt, but less competent. You know?
Well, I mean, look, when it came to what he's doing, look at what happened with the whole 4 seasons bullshit. I mean, that's his team.
Exactly. He does dumb shit like that to own the libs, and it's like, I appreciate that. Like, I respect that about him, right? That he, you know, would keep doing that, even though, you know, he was obviously there was some sort of miscommunication there. And like, I just expected him to do that more in ways that actually mattered, right? In ways that were actually going to, you know, help the working class. Like, he's not like, he doesn't care about the working class, right? Like he's like an angry Facebook grandpa, right? He like watches shit on Fox News, he watches shit on OAN, and then lashes out, right?
That's essentially his whole shtick.
He didn't actually care about improving quality of life. He didn't actually care about inequality and our immigration or whatever. He didn't actually care about any of that shit. He basically made everything worse, right? Like, I don't think you could point to a single thing he did that improved life for anybody, right?
No, I mean that wasn't his aim at the end of the day.
Yeah, and he could have too. It's like it's kind of a missed opportunity, right? Because the gatekeepers are going to tighten up, right? They're not going to let anybody, any kind of populism, they're going to fucking clamp down on hard like they did to Bernie in the primary. And I hope that wasn't, the only chance to get somebody who wasn't establishment cuck, right? Like, I hope like we can have somebody good in a couple of years. And like, it's going to be a showdown right now. Like, to the extent that we can make it an ideological showdown between the left and the Democrats, that's one thing. But like, it's going to be apparent that the Republicans are obstructing any kind of policy proposals. And it's like, the country desperately needs anything, right? Like, it needs healthcare reform. It needs like climate shit. It needs, like, the thing about the Supreme Court is, if we have a functioning Congress, like if you have Congress where they actually can pass bills and do things, the Supreme Court is less important, right? The Supreme Court's only important because nobody in the House or the Senate actually wants to do anything. They don't want to pass any legislation because then that's on their record. That's like Joe Biden the whole time. It's like, yeah, he's ideologized to the left agenda, but on top of that, he's also doesn't want to confirm a position on anything. Like, he didn't want to say, this is what I'm going to do, and then be expected to do it, right? He wanted to have the flexibility to just do whatever was the most convenient at the time. So they have, even if he actually did want to ban fracking, or if he actually did want to do a public option, he would just try to avoid talking about it as much as possible. The same with the $15 minimum wage. Like, he didn't actually talk about those things because he didn't want to be held to doing it. And something has to be done, man. Like I said, there's problems in the country, and what we can't do is the problem. We can't forget about the president because they've consolidated so much power in the office, right? Like,
right.
Just through, since the Bush years, they've been doing all these things that just makes the White House that much more powerful than it should be. But it all comes back to the same thing with Congress refusing to do its duty, right? They keep like delegating their responsibilities.
Yeah.
So then we have, this situation where gridlocked and nothing happens. But like, the Republicans are going to try to like block, like Mitch McConnell's going to try to block any kind of proposal just to like not give them a win or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, it's objectively what the country needs. Like, the country needs mass stimulus, right? So I think there's going to be some backlash if they do try to stop that, right? Like, if the stimulus doesn't get done, like if we, they're going to try to fearmonger about another lockdown, but something has to be done, man. There's no, like, fucking 30% of the country is out of work, facing eviction with no health care. Like, something has to be done. They can't just let those people suffer, right? So if they have a stimulus bill and Joe Biden is, actively working to get it passed, unlike what Trump was doing, then it's going to be clear who the problem is, right? Like, Mitch McConnell will say, like he did in May when they tried to pass the HEROES Act, he'll be like, it's a liberal wish list and blah, blah, blah. But that's only so effective. That only works with people who are, deeply partisan, ideological, like already drank the Kool-Aid. So that's not going to work with everybody. You're going to have to actually explain what is about the bill where you can't sign it, where you're going to deny people stimulus for, another however much longer, right?
Yeah. So let me see. Let me pull up that article just because, we're talking about Trump, where his mind is right now. There we go. Trump is telling allies he plans to run for president in 2024, and that he could announce it by the end of the year.
You know what else that does too?
I mean,
they're gonna say, "Oh, be quiet, you're helping Trump." Whenever we try to, they're already doing it.
They
like if
always
you look at AOC's replies,
yeah,
like she's got like Eichenwald, fucking tentacle porn guy, and all these other shit libs are all in the replies like, "Oh, quit being so divisive. Oh, quit being so divisive." And it's like, we just had the election. What the fuck excuse do you have?
Really, we're gonna have like right now is when.
This is the time,
exactly
right?
this is the time to be having these kinds of discussions. I mean, regardless of what Trump is up to or not up to, if he's finally come to terms with losing and is gearing up for another run, then fuck it. No. This is the time to talk about this shit. And
the thing with the money is that's not how money works.
Right.
Right? Like, it's not, we create our own, we print money. Like, we control the currency for the global economy. Mm-hmm. We can print money as much as we want, and it's not going to affect the value of anything because the entire global market relies on the dollar being stable. Yeah. So and if that was going to be a problem, it would have been a problem when we started buying junk bonds.
Exactly. Like, so this is what they're saying on MSNBC, by the way. And
look at that comment.
Here we go. We can't afford it. China was the one who started COVID. They need to be held accountable for the world pandemic.
Yeah. Look up MMT. That's not how money works anymore. Since we got off the gold standard. Yeah. Like, it's all based on the market's response.
Exactly.
So like, there's no inflation. Like, that doesn't. It used to be that with less currency.
Well, I mean, that was the whole point of them getting us off the gold standard, was to get rid of the whole inflation crisis that was going on in the 70s. Exactly. That's why Nixon did what he did. But on MSNBC, this is what they're saying. Trump was never going to give a concession speech because he won't, but his silence over the last 5 days is a concession speech. It's a silence of a terrified man. I mean, these guys.
That's lib shit, man.
Yeah, that is really lib shit, because I mean, he's not shutting up. He's on a Twitter storm every day, still going off about illegal votes or whatever it is. I don't think he's gonna concede. I think what do
you want to do for China? I don't understand these people. You want to go to war with China? Is that what you're saying? Is that what the held accountable means?
Yeah.
Because first of all, I mean, even if you could prove that they made it as some sort of bioweapon to hurt Trump.
Here's the thing about it. Like, at worst, even if there was something that they genetically modified and it got an outbreak for the world or whatever else it did, like I keep coming back to, the U.S.'s response has been uniquely bad.
Exactly. China's fine.
China's basically fine. Yeah. But the problem is the response that we've had here just made the situation so much worse than it otherwise would have been.
Yeah. Our for-profit healthcare system, the fucking culture war, the fact that masks and like lockdowns were turned into a culture war thing. Yeah. And then people were locked up at home with one $1,200 check. Like, you need to do what every other country did. If you're going to shut down the economy, you have to pay people to stay home. That's literally what every other country did except us. We're the only ones who didn't. Canada, the UK, Europe, all of them. Like, Japan, Korea.
Well, just staying up on the topic that we're talking about.
Like, that's
Michael Cohen weighed in on what he thinks Trump is going to do.
But
Did
this
you catch
is like, that's going to be like a thing they write about in the history books. You know, like, it's going to be on par with like the what's it called? Like when the Soviets took over Russia and they had the grain crisis and all. Oh. What's it called? When you run out of food, famine.
Famine.
It's going to be on par with shit like that. Like, this is a historic failure.
I was hoping you'd bring up plague rats, bro.
No, this is a historic failure. Like, seriously.
I mean, it really has been. But yeah, here we go. Michael Cohen, the president's consigliere, he says that he won't. That Trump is probably not going to return to the White House after Christmas at Mar-a-Lago.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. If he kind of knows his patterns, when it comes down to it, and at some point or another, the writing is gonna be on the wall for Trump. I mean, this is an update, because did speculate as to the legal challenges that were gonna be seen from Trump, and this is the state of them right now.
Over 12.
0 of 12.
And like the ones that he was pursuing too, it was only trying to get rid of like a few votes here and there.
Yes.
There was like 56 votes or like, 12 votes. I think one of them was like 600 votes or something.
Right.
It's just nowhere near enough to come close to changing it.
Yeah, he's down several thousand votes.
Yeah, like 10,000 or so, and it was like the closest race, right? And I keep coming back to the same thing: is the scale of this. People keep acting like, oh, they had a bag full of, and that's how they snuck them in. No, like it would have to be like several truckloads of pallets.
Right.
Like I keep saying, my precinct had 341 ballots, and it was a stack like this tall. Like, it's a lot of ballots. The ballots are big, thick, long paper. It's like you would not be able to sneak that in. Every single place they go, there's a Democrat and a Republican watching the ballots at all times.
Yeah.
Like the lawsuit they tried to do for the observers.
And then like this idea that voter fraud is somehow easy to pull off too. Is kind of funny to me. With there, at one point I saw a statistic about this. There's a very finite number of voter fraud cases ever. It's like a handful of cases, and what Trump is trying to push, this narrative that he's trying to push, is hundreds of thousands of ballots. Just to you're talking a handful versus hundreds of thousands of ballots. It's not a thing. Yeah, you see, Biden is a clown. Well,
we didn't vote for him.
Yeah, we didn't.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, bro, we didn't vote for him. But no, like Biden is gonna be an improvement in a certain amount of areas.
No, he's gonna have his administration will be competent, right?
Yeah.
Like they'll be able to run the country without having major lapses in bureaucratic control, right? They won't do shit like, fire the pandemic response team the year, right before we have a pandemic. Like simple shit like that. Like they'll have masks, they'll have PPE, like nurses will, have proper equipment to go to work. Like just bare minimum shit like that. But like, it's not gonna, like, maybe they'll do some stuff. Like I said, I keep coming back to this. Like, the country desperately needs some sort of government action right now. Like they need jobs programs. They need some sort of healthcare improvement. They need to get the fucking virus under control. It's worse now than it ever has been. It was like 120 something thousand new cases today, and thousands of people are dying.
There was this just because you brought it up. In Texas, they reported that we're the first state to cross the 1 million case mark. See, I have that article right here too. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we go from the Daily Beast. Number of positive cases in Texas have surpassed 1 million, making us the first state to reach that grim milestone. And look, the situation here, it's been likened to the situation in New York when there was when the outbreak first occurred. But we're in a even worse situation here because we're dealing with incompetence everywhere from the municipal level all the way up to the federal level at this point, because our damn governor's not gonna act in the interest of safety unless things are that dire to the point where there's no other option. Yeah. That's the issue. Like, say what you want about Cuomo or De Blasio, at least they were competent enough that they knew that they had to go and put things on a shutdown. They knew they had to put in mandatory masks statewide. There were certain things that they were going to do that somebody like Governor Abbott is not going to do.
Well, they don't have that. That's the thing about Biden is like they don't have that ideological. Like there's no ideological conflict between spending money to fix the pandemic. It's
right.
Like the Republicans have this ideological goal of not spending money on the government. They want to do everything privatized as much as possible. Like they don't want to put everything in the free market, so-called free market, when it's really just like bribes to their cronies. Like they wanted to. That's how Trump ran. The entire response was not, oh, let's give the CDC money to help people. It's let's give money to a bunch of fucking pharma companies and like medical supply companies and have them like sell shit to people. And you can't do that. That's not always the response. Like when you have a crisis, you have to have the government has to steer the till, right? They have to direct the thing. They can't just leave it up to profit motive because it doesn't work. You just have more greed and corruption.
But no, but like in regards to Trump and everything, I do sense that there's going to be like a divide in the party going forward between like a Trump wing and a more corporate ass wing of the Republicans.
Well, I don't think that there's any popular support for a corporate wing, right? I think that those people are Democrats now, right? Like people who have that sort of affection for the establishment are Democrats. I don't think there is that kind of thing. I mean, there's some, people who read like the Evening Standard or whatever it's called, people who like wear bow ties and, subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. Like there's some of those people, but not that many. So whoever controls the Trump wing of the party is going to be the only serious challenger for the Republicans.
Well, on Fox, I think I'm conflicted here because it seems like they're kind of taking Trump's lead in regards to the voter fraud narrative that, by all accounts, anybody's going to think is bullshit because there's no evidence for it. And like but it just seems like there's a division. I mean, like Laura Ingraham ran that segment about having an anonymous poll worker claiming about being a witness to voter fraud. Trying to feed into that narrative more. Yeah,
because they're smart. They understand that there's no accountability. There's no nothing is going to. There's no consequences for doing that kind of shit.
Right.
So they're going to do what their base wants to hear. Like
so they want
just
to
like Tim Pool.
So the base wants to hear voter fraud. So that's why they're doing it. Well,
they want to hear that. Oh, Trump actually won. It was just stolen from him. Like you guys are right. Everything about you. It's the same shit they do, like on like the liberal stuff, right? They keep harping on things to make them feel good about themselves, right? Yeah. To like reaffirm their commitment to the party, on either side.
Let me pull up the video and see if I don't know if you can hear it, Matt, but I will try it.
Thank you for joining us. You saw something suspicious. We're going to get right into it tonight. Happening on the side of a Biden-Harris van in the parking lot of the polling station. Now, walk the audience through what happened.
I'm not going to say which party does it, but thousands of votes are gathered and they come in and they're dumped in a location, and then all of a sudden you lose elections if you think you're going to win. And I'm not going to stand for it. Our voting system... First of all, we should have voter ID. When you vote, you should have voter ID.
Yeah, that's Trump.
If you send something in, you should be sure, as a state and as a country,
that's definitely Trump.
Sure
okay, wait.
That vote is meaningful, and it's not just made fraudulently. Because there's a lot of
with the voice disguise and everything, bro.
This country should have voter ID.
Oh shit. I don't think that was Trump. You know who I think it was?
Who?
It was John Barron.
Who's John Barron?
You didn't pay attention to that story, did you? So what Trump would do back in the day is he would call back into these news stories and these news shows anonymously, and he would use aliases to be his own hype man.
Yeah, like sock puppet accounts.
So, yeah, so it kind of like that, where he would call in and then he would say, "My name's John Barron. I'm the publicist for Donald Trump." And he would just be acting his own hype dude and do so anonymously. So I really wouldn't.
I mean, he's got the same cadence as Trump, right? And he says the same kind of dumb shit that Trump says.
Yes.
Plus, like the look on Laura's face.
I was like, wait a minute, Mr. Bemused. President? I would have lost it. I would have lost it if she would have done that shit. She would have just turned around, Mr. President, is that you?
Look, this comment like we know how to do those things. Every other country in the world has some form of government-run healthcare. We're the only fucking sickos that have this private for-profit system because it's just objectively a bad system.
Right.
We pay more, not just us, the whole country pays more. We pay trillions of dollars more than we should be. And 67,000 people die in a non-COVID year. 67,000 people die every year because we have this for-profit healthcare system. The homeless people, we also know how to fix that. Like, we know how to fix these things. Most countries have government housing. You can't afford housing, the government helps you with it. And you pay what you can, like a income-driven payment plan. That's effective in other countries. We don't have it here because we have this sick version of real estate where it's just a money laundering scheme for rich international people. Like, they have all these condo buildings and all in these downtown areas that just drive up the cost of rent for everybody and make it unaffordable. And then they don't want to pop the bubble, so it just keeps getting more expensive, even though so many of them are vacant. Like, if you look at like downtown here, there's just hundreds and thousands of, probably not hundreds of thousands, but like several thousand vacant condo buildings where it's just, if you look at it at night, none of the lights are on. It's just empty. It's just shit rich people bought to park their money because it's a good investment, or it was a good investment, and then they'll either rent it out for an exorbitant amount or not rent it at all, or do Airbnb, that kind of thing. And they've all just been completely gutted, right? There's not been anybody traveling, and that bubble should be popping, right? Housing should be dropping like a stone, right? It should be cheap as shit to get rent in cities right now because there's nobody, there's no market forces, right? Should be driving it lower. But since we have this entirely artificial economy where the rich are just paid to do nothing and the people aren't, they're sitting there taking the loss, and they're fine with it because they're getting the government to pay for it. So that's a problem. Like, we know how to fix it. We're not fixing it because rich, powerful people want it that way. They want it to stay that way.
Right. So just to keep on the election theme right now, this is more news that's coming in out of Arizona. The AG out there is saying Biden is going to win, and the lawsuit isn't going to make a difference. This is the reality of what's going on out there. Man, like all this bluster over court cases.
Yeah.
And if there are any wins that they're going to get, they're inconsequential in the amount that's needed, and they're frivolous 9 times out of 10. It's a situation where they walk in claiming something isn't being done that is being done, and then they're walking out looking like a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, and they keep saying like, "Oh, Hillary conceded the day after, right? Like, she didn't do this shit, right?"
Yeah, I mean, even give that to her. She knew when she lost.
Yeah, like, her stands they whined about it for 4 years. They still whine about it.
Yeah.
And like I said before, they have a little bit more ground to whine about it because they won the popular vote too, right?
Right.
Like, these guys lost the popular vote and the electoral vote, and they're... Yeah, I mean, fuck Hillary. I'm just saying she had a much better...
She had a better case to it because she won the popular vote by so many damn votes. And regardless of this,
This
Biden,
is like Mayor Pete in Iowa is what this feels like.
Yeah.
Like Juan Guaido shit.
But look, regardless of this shit of Biden even winning, there still is no need for an electoral college. Elect the motherfucker by popular vote. That should be it. Why do we have a fucking electoral college for this bullshit?
Same reason. Why do we have a Senate like that?
Well, the Senate makes more sense to me than the electoral college. Like I can understand the historical context for wanting the Congress associated in that way, or aligned, or what do you call it?
It just like
organized
enshrines the oligarchy, though. It just keeps.
Well, I mean, Hamilton's the one that wrote stuff like that in place, so it's not really all that surprising when you talk about the people that went and constructed it. But The
There's no reason Wyoming should have 2 senators.
Well, that's the thing, though. Okay, so we got to remember why it was organized that way, and why it made sense at the time, right?
To appease the slave owners, right?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that. It was because you had very high populated states like Virginia at the time, and then you had states that didn't have very many people like New Jersey, and they wanted representation that would be fair to all the states. So then in one aspect you had a House of Congress that was reflective of population, and that actually favored the slave states more because that's why they had that 3/5 compromise, for the slave states. But they also wanted some kind of mechanism to give states with smaller populations an equal say in the government. So, I mean, it functions the way it was meant to function because every state gets an equal voice. But it wasn't supposed to be
parliamentary like this. Like, it wasn't supposed to be like parties and you all vote with your partisan.
Now that's the problem.
That's the part that's
Hyperpartisanship fucks up the whole works of it. Because, like, if it wasn't for these political parties and the way that everything got taken over by them, then I think there would be a little bit of a better system. You wouldn't have hyperpartisanship dominating the national conversation half the time. But in terms of representation, I mean, yeah, there's 50 independent states, or not really independent states, but there's 50 states that comprise the country, right? And they're supposed to each have their own autonomy in some kind of way. So in that respect, you need to have some kind of representation that gives each of those states a voice. But it's just that in the modern times, it's been less about individual states having a voice and more about the collective voice of the country.
It's just been partisan. Like,
yeah.
You can't get anything done. Like, even if you control, like we saw under Obama's first term, if you control the House, the Congress, and the Senate, you still can't get anything done. Like, you need to have the supermajority. Like,
right.
If you're not aggressive like the Republicans are, there's no way to get anything done.
Well, no.
It's just designed for gridlock. And I think that's on purpose, right? Like I said, Capitol was fucking stoked with this result, right? With the Senate being the Republicans and the Democrats having a weak hold on the House. They have no mandate. They got nothing.
Do you think that if they keep a bicameral legislature like they have right now, would it make a difference as to the term limits being one way or another in each of those houses of Congress? Like, each representative only serves 2 years every term, where you have senators, they're stuck in there for 6 years.
Yeah, I think Senate should be 2 years too.
Yeah, that would make sense to me too. Like, all right, every state is getting. They have a House of Congress that is dependent on that is equal, right? Everybody gets 2. So then why not make it everybody gets 2 years in the Senate as well?
Yeah, the Senate is just fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it's just designed to stop everything from happening, and like we really need the government to be able to respond to the facts on the ground. Yeah, the parties are incredibly corrupt. It's
of course they are.
They're in the pocket.
As an aside, I wanted to.
But like, there's no bipartisanship anymore.
Right. There isn't.
All.
There isn't.
Like when I was a kid,
it's bipartisanship.
When I was a kid, they would do stuff like that. Sometimes it would be a handful of like Democrats from the Northeast and a handful of Republicans from out west. They would have different interests that would align, right? Different situations like that. Now it's fucking culture war and big business and ideological partisan. You're just confined in there, and there's not any way to reach across the aisle in any kind of meaningful way with the kind of numbers you need. And Biden talking about this shit because he knows that's popular. Right. Americans like the concept of bipartisanship.
Yes,
they think that if the parties agree,
it sounds good on principle. But the only thing the only issues that are rare that are usually bipartisan are horrible.
Yeah,
when it comes
deregulation,
to
banking,
deregulation,
just ways to screw
war,
the working class.
Stuff like that. Yeah, then you get bipartisan consensus on let's do something fucked up. But
it's like that expression. It takes a liberal, right? Like only Nixon could go to China. Like they have certain things where only one party or the other can do it. Like Biden can cut Social Security, but the Republicans can't, right? Like,
all right. So here's
Biden can do the crime bill, but the Republicans can't. Like. It's just the way it's set up.
Someone said Democrats are bad. What do you think? Look, Democrats aren't any worse than Republicans. That's what I'll say. They're all bad. It's not like, I wouldn't put any of them above one another. You have, when it comes to the Democratic Party, though, I would say that you have a big chunk of it that is largely corporatist, and then you have a few good politicians that are mixed into it right now.
Yeah,
and that's just because we ousted a bunch of those motherfuckers. Just let me just pull this up really fast.
You can tell, like, you just go to opensecrets.org and you can see who's funding them. That's bribes. Those are bribes.
Yeah.
It's legal bribes. Like, America likes to brag about how we're not corrupt and other countries are more corrupt than us. That's because we've legalized bribery.
Right.
So, like, in other countries, you do stuff like the Burisma and you pay and you give money for, like, bullshit no-show jobs and like more mafia type stuff.
Right.
Here, you don't have to do that. You could just write $1 million check to Burisma, or Burisma could write $1 million check to whatever candidate they wanted, and that would be their face time. That would be how they would buy their influence, right?
Well, I mean, consider both. That's my brother and my sister. They're arguing amongst each other.
He did that on purpose too, because a lot of that had to do with the culture war. He purposely went out of his way to not appear like he was being being preferential for black people, right? He purposely did that.
Yeah, just real quick, Laura Ingram's brother commented on this and said that she's a fucking wackadoo too, so.
Yeah, but she's not, though. She knows what she's doing. She knows exactly what she's doing. It's a business decision.
So we have to dispel with this notion that she doesn't know what she's doing.
No, she knows what she's doing. She's smart as shit.
I was doing the Marco Rubio speech, bro. Remember that one?
No, yeah, man, she's smart as a whip. She knows exactly what she's doing.
I know she does. Yeah.
She's doing that. She's giving the base what they want. It's just like Tim Pool. I think Tim Pool is actually dumb, though. I think he doesn't really understand. But I think with her, she's feeding them what they want to hear.
Let's see. Obama got the job. Obama was terrible, bro. Sorry to tell you.
Yeah, Obama was pretty bad, man.
Yeah, like he was token representation at the highest office and didn't do it and functioned as a neoliberal corporatist. He was supposed to be the next FDR. He came in and governed like the next Bill Clinton. That's exactly what the fuck he is. Sorry to tell you.
And such an opportunity too. Like, if he had done one good thing. Right, like when he was dealing with the recession in 2010, like when he was dealing with that when he first got into office with the Great Recession, instead of just bailing out Wall Street and giving all that money to the banks who didn't deserve it and then barely regulating them any differently afterwards, he could have done like just 5% of that. He could have bailed out the homeowners, given them the money to give to the banks, instead of making them solvent would have also made the banks solvent. They had that whole moral hazard argument, right? About, he can't give them anything for free because then they'll expect it again, which is such a bullshit argument. It's like, so what ended up happening is they paid, like Steve Mnuchin, like that's a perfect example, right? When he worked at IndyMac, he took government money. The government paid him to foreclose on these people. And then he would foreclose. We'd get the government money. They would pay for the price of the house, and then he would collect the money from the people and then foreclose it and sell it again at auction.
Yeah, David has it right here. Look, take Obama at his word. He wouldn't be out of place in a Reagan administration. Why pretend what he himself said he wasn't?
Instead of doing anything to bail out all the homeowners who got screwed by the banks, the banks crashed the economy. That was 100% their doing. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they did it anyway because they thought there was no accountability, right? Yeah. They were buying and selling. They were shorting their own stuff. So one side of it would be basically paying, like, you're probably better explaining it than me. You explain it.
With the what do you call it? The derivatives market?
Yeah, the short selling. Like
okay, so this is what happened. So with the short selling shit, they made a whole bunch of money on these CDOs, these collateralized debt obligations, where you would be able to go ahead and buy these bonds that were comprised of thousands of mortgages, right? And the profit model got incentivized more by just signing off and giving away mortgages to anybody like cookies. And what ended up happening from that is you ended up with these mortgage bonds that were getting bet against on both sides with short selling and holders on those notes. And all of that was built on a house of cards because these mortgage bonds were worthless because people were defaulting en masse because they shouldn't have had a mortgage in the first place.
Well, then they were rushing to get the mortgages out because it was federal. Fannie Mae was government backed, right? So they would they would give them loan people money who didn't deserve the money.
But here's the other part of it, though. The whole industry was fucked because then the ratings agencies were corrupt. All corrupted in the same way where they would give these same mortgages, these mortgage-backed securities, they would give them AAA, AA ratings, even though they were a bunch of crap.
Yeah, this adjustable rate mortgage.
Right.
People got with no money
adjustable
down,
rate mortgages,
and give it a AA rating.
Zero down type bullshit. And then you have the entire world economy built on this thing. The entire idea of a mortgage-backed security is supposed to be that you take a fixed income mortgage, you shuffle them all together with thousands of other mortgages, and you make a good profit at the end, because who the fuck doesn't pay a fixed rate mortgage because you assume that's the case. Now you throw in a bunch of adjusted rate mortgages over a period of time, and you back up this whole derivatives industry on that, and then on top of that you have a whole people shorting, people doing the premiums on one side or another.
And the same bank people at
and then look at this isn't the only part of it though. At the end of it, when they realized, okay, we're holding a bunch of these mortgage-backed securities, and then we're getting short sold on it, and then as soon as people find out that these things are going to crash, we're going to be fucked. These are what the big banks thought, right? Then what did they do? They unloaded all of their holdings, and they took a short position, and then they made money on the back end on top of it. That's the way the system worked.
So when Obama came into office,
and then And then Obama came into office. He
covered the debts of the banks. He let the people get foreclosed.
Right.
He paid those guys to continue foreclosing on these people.
Right. So the banks were holding these notes, these credit default swaps. Right. They're holding these credit default swaps. That means they would have to pay back on those defaulted bonds. Triple of one? I mean, it was a ridiculous amount of debt that they'd be in. Mm-hmm. And then instead of saying, fuck you banks, you fucked up, you ran a scam, it caught up with you. Instead of doing that, they giving money to the people who lost their homes, who were being foreclosed on.
Instead of rates went up.
Instead of bailing those people out, they go to all the big banks and cut them all checks.
And their bonuses.
And they got bonuses and golden parachutes, and not one of them went to fucking prison.
If you had given the money to the people, they would have paid the bank, right? So if you had paid the people, it would have also taken care of the banks. Yep. And they still just gave it straight to the fucking bank.
Right. We're simulcasting now, so we're on YouTube as well as Twitch. Pick your preference. When we do interviews, we'll do Periscope stuff too. But for right now, we're just gonna do the two platforms. But that's why
Obama sucks.
Yeah, and
plus 90% civilian kill rate, there's drone strikes.
Yeah, I mean there's that too. I mean, he killed a bunch of people in his drone strikes. The porter in chief kept sending my people back.
Didn't prosecute any of the war criminals from Bush from the Iraq War.
So why don't we change gears a little bit? There was a Joe Rogan clip I sent you earlier.
Oh, and plus what he did in the primary.
Oh right, yeah. I mean, just didn't even go that far back. I mean, he screwed over Bernie. Yeah. He orchestrated Bloody Monday. Yeah, and got all of these people to drop out and line up against Bernie just to secure his legacy. So
I was thinking about it tonight. If he had done that thing in the recession, like if he had paid the people and the people had paid the banks, right? If they had done that, just a massive stimulus, I feel like that would have just changed the entire direction of the country. Like we would be at a much different place right now. Just the fucking the black wealth, right? The generational wealth that was just wiped out, right? And they had just been building it up from like the 70s on, and they'd finally like got a little few percent, right, and then just fucking wiped out, right? And he knew all the shit he was doing, right? And then Flint.
Yeah, Flint, Michigan too. Okay, we could go on about Obama
Yeah,
all
we could
night,
go on about
but
Obama forever.
But let's see. Let's just say George Soros runs the country. All right, bro, you've been talking to too many right wingers. Take the.
Yeah, man. What are you talking about? Right, Sheldon Adelson is probably more likely if you're gonna say someone runs the country.
Let's change gears a little bit. Let's go to that. Joe Rogan had a comedian and
the Waltons.
Yeah, radio personality Dave Smith on, and they were talking a little bit about our girl AOC. So I wanted to go and talk about this one really fast. Let me pull this
on
up.
Matt and Tony's AOC show.
Of people. So like this.
Well, AOC said it.
Yeah. A pretty influential member of the Democrats. Which, she's made herself like huge.
She's going to be president.
I don't know about that.
She could do it.
She's not very popular outside of her district.
I don't know about that. I think with young people, she represents like this idea that someone like her, young, hardworking, out there hustling, seriously progressive values, that you can get pretty far, and certainly in the public eye.
Well, you certainly can do what she's doing. I mean, she's proved that. Like, you could go to a very blue district and primary one of the most establishment Democrats and rise to national prominence. So she did that. I don't know. Right now in the country, I think AOC would have a really tough time getting elected on a national level. But
maybe.
Who knows? Maybe
she's only 30.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, so she's got a lot of time. Boy, when I was 30, I was so fucking stupid. It's kind of...
All right. Yeah. So there was the point about it is the larger point about it was the popularity of the squad outside of their districts. And
hold on. I gotta.
Oh, okay, you're catching up. Are you good?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. The larger point about it was the popularity of the squad outside of their districts, right? Because Joe Rogan he made that. I mean, it's kind of a pretty bold statement, I guess, to make. I mean, he doesn't really give a fuck. But yeah, he's saying that AOC can be president, or is going to be at one point or another.
Yeah, Rogan
right?
knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rogan knows. Like, he's got meathead takes on like some cultural things, and like he's got like weirdo positions.
Yeah.
But like you can tell that like he thinks the right way about politics. Like he understands shit. Like he doesn't have like like dumb lib or dumb chud takes, right?
Yeah.
So I probably don't have to worry about primary challengers. I'm trying to look at nationwide polling.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to find some nationwide polling, but
the squad probably doesn't have to worry about. 538 has some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to go look at the popularity of the squad outside of their district, look at how they went and helped.
They're obviously massively popular. They're obviously massively popular. About.
Because
I went and saw AOC speak in Iowa, like fucking just tens of the
in California. She lit the fucking spot up. In Nevada, that was another state Bernie was very successful in. He kept running AOC through there to run Spanish only town hall meetings. When it came to going and assisting progressive challengers to incumbents, the squad was massively helpful in that sense. And and then talking about their policies, I mean, the Green New, like we talked about, candidates that backed the Green New Deal were overwhelmingly successful in their.
I think it was like
their election.
There was 2 out of like 102.
Yeah. Out of like 102, 2 of them
Bernie
did not win back.
It.
So I mean, as far as those instincts that his guest had on there, I mean, I think they're kind of dubious in that sense. But it was really cool to see.
Some like libertarian shit.
Yeah, I was trying to put my finger on it. Like Joe was really made a good point on the show. Also, if y'all go watch it, not now.
Let's watch some more clips from the show.
Yeah, I didn't get to timestamp the other ones though. But what I was gonna say is that Joe really made a good point about why we need student debt forgiveness. So let me see if I could actually. No, I don't even got it.
There's supposedly a report. It's taking forever to load. I think I found one. A squad poll. Oh.
You got some?
Let's see. Political party.
But
Favorability, here we go.
you got one?
Ilhan Omar, AOC. Gender. Total. What does that mean? Very favorable. Let's see. 27%, I don't know. Versus 35% favorable or somewhat, 19% very favorable, 16% somewhat favorable, 7% somewhat unfavorable, and very unfavorable. So 38% unfavorable versus 35% favorable.
So at the end of the day, what do you think about them? Nationally,
it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, nationally, still, I think given what they were able
3%.
to do.
This is old though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I couldn't find any.
2019.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything current. But I mean, look, given what they were able to do nationally, even in this last primary, and even what they were able to do with like I said, with the progressive challengers to these incumbents. You know, and really right now. I mean, going forward, I wouldn't go ahead and say that any of them are feigning or lacking for popularity. You know, at least outside of their districts and within their districts, as a matter of fact, of course. But
Ilhan's got there's this 14% very favorable, 16% somewhat favorable, 7% somewhat unfavorable, 29% very unfavorable. So hers aren't good either.
Yeah, I would like to go ahead and see like more current polls about that one, but we'll keep our eye out for that. But let's see what else I was gonna go to. Oh, well, we were supposed to lead off the show with the whole chief of staff thing. Did you get to catch that?
Oh, I mean, yeah. From what I gathered, it's not. I mean, it's better than it could be, I guess, but I feel like it's at a certain point, it's like you know, you have the, I don't know, it's calling me. You have, like the moral, like if you're willing to do, you know, like if you're willing to do any like that style thing, you're willing to do anything. They're all just going to execute the plan at that point, you know. They're all just going to.
Well, let's see who this guy is first. Gonna pull this up here. All right. So President-elect Joe Biden is said to have chosen Ron Klain as his chief of staff. Yeah, I didn't know anything about this guy going in, but Mondaire Jones actually had this comment out here. You know, Mondaire Jones, one of the newly elected progressive members of Congress, that's going to be coming into the upcoming, well, I guess the whole adding to the squad bit. And so, you know, he's a progressive guy, and he seemed pretty positive about this appointment. So he says, Ron knows that the progressive movement has strengthened the Democratic Party and understands the importance of a judiciary that protects our most valuable communities. Congrats, Ronald Klein. Look forward to working with you. And see, did you saw that video that Jank made earlier too, right?
Why did he reference judiciary?
I'm not sure, but
that's a weird thing to reference.
Right, but I mean, you caught that video that Jank made about him a little bit earlier, right?
Yeah. You know, nothing. I mean, like I said, he's not great. You know,
right? But in a Biden administration, from what I gather, at least it's not a total. I guess in terms of picks, it could have been a lot worse for chief of staff, and it sounds like this guy is at least open to listening to the left of the party, which is good. I mean, the stuff is already kind of getting shot down in terms of what we've been talking about with Bernie as labor secretary, Warren as treasury secretary. I mean, some of those more loftier goals, but at least to have somebody that is in the room or in part of that the inner circle that is willing to go ahead and be open-minded to some of the more progressive policies, I think that's a plus. And the other thing was under the Obama administration, he was on that task force, or he was heading the task force against Ebola. So that's probably
Peter
why.
Dale says,
Mhm.
being an outsider. So I went from being mentioned in Clinton's book, Ron Klain writing a blurb for my book, to blocked by Klain and out of Clinton world.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that means. Waleed Shahid said has moved in a more progressive direction, and voters expect bold action. Yeah, man, I don't think it's great. I mean,
I think it's probably going to be one of those things that could have been worse. And we'll see in terms of what actual policy goals are set out in the immediate after Joe Biden gets inaugurated and all that.
Markey sounds stoked. I've been very fortunate to know and work alongside my friend throughout our careers. An outstanding choice.
But I mean, that's the thing. Like I felt more encouraged because you heard progressives saying that it was a pretty decent appointment. You know, and across the board, it seems it wasn't one of these things that you're gonna end up seeing like opposed, if what do you call it? If Biden decides to go with someone like Mitt Romney or John Kasich into his cabinet.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to.
But you know,
I don't think any of them are going to play ball, right? Like, I don't think he can get any of them to agree to not be psychotic, right? Like, to not be fucking demonic. Like, they're just terrible. Like, they did you hear like just the shit that, you know, like Mitt Romney and what's his face, Kasich had been talking about, like in those interviews. It's like, like none of the stuff they want to do is popular or is necessary. They're just like dumb ideas that shouldn't be, like, you should not be entertaining those kinds of ideas. Like, we obviously have to respond to what's going on. We can't just let the, like, you know, let the country just destroy itself. Like, you have to be able to, you know, like Mitt Romney saying we can't do, like, we want to keep using gas and we want to keep using fossil fuels and like make sure we do that. Like, that's our priority. It's just like psycho shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, they can't have any access to, you know, like the economic policy like that. Like, you saw what Trump and his shitheads did. They don't know how to handle this crisis situation. They don't know how to make the government spend money. Like, I think that's the bare competency I feel like the Democrats do have, you know, this administration will have. Like, they'll be able to, like, you know, pay the contractors on time and not screw up shit like that, you know?
Yeah. Let me see what else I can bring up here. Oh, I don't know how I missed this one before, but did you catch that Joy Reid thing?
What about the
538?
538. Yeah. I didn't want to dunk on her. Like,
yeah, I think it's okay. We can dunk on her a little bit. So Joy Reid. Yeah, Joy Reid.
It's a pretty good thread too. Like, I read the rest of the thread.
Yeah. But the whole premise is okay. So Joy Reid, if y'all don't know, she hosts a show on MSNBC. She's one of these night shows. She has a morning show still, right? I don't know if she still has the morning show, but she went off on a little bit of a rant, about what was her main thing about, I guess, the how important voting is, I guess, is the whole crux of the issue. So she started off, let me bring it up here. So,
I think she was talking about the Electoral College, right?
Yeah.
No?
Well, that's the way she started off by saying this part here, which was funny. So 538, it's that organization that Nate Silver is a part of that does all the polling. And she made a claim over here that said that the reason it was named 538 was because of the margin of victory in Florida in the year 2000 when George Bush won over Al Gore. This is what she was making the point of. The different the margin of victory now was a few thousand over here, and that's the point that she was making. and then she was shooting back against the allegations that Trump has been making about fraud. Which, I mean, this isn't bad. You know, these are good points that she's actually making. The problem with this whole thread is it began with this claim about 538 being the margin of victory in Florida.
I know, but it doesn't. Oh man, she should have deleted that.
Yeah, she really should have deleted.
She got 21,000 likes on that.
Yeah,
look at all those likes.
Yeah,
she's wrong. These people don't know that she's wrong.
Yeah, no, people figured out that she was wrong right away. See, the problem with the whole thread is that with this opening tweet that she did, the reason 538 is called 538 is because that's the total number of electoral college votes.
She didn't have to say that. She could have just told the story. she had to be like name dropping, right?
I guess that's what she was trying to do. You're Joy Reid.
She's trying to be like, my boy's over at 538. Like,
yeah,
you know, I gotta give a shout out to my homies.
Talk about how accurate the polling was, I guess is the point to bring them into it. I mean, you could have still made the same point without being completely wrong. I mean, someone in the position that she's in, you think would know something like that, right?
Like I said, I think it's a dumb thing to like misremember like that, but like,
yes,
it doesn't really affect the content of what she's saying. She was just saying like,
no, but it kind of undermines
this race
your
was really close,
right?
She was like, these races aren't close though. That's what she's saying, right?
Yes, like, her whole thing was, the votes aren't even as closer. It's not comparable to 2000 when the Supreme Court flipped things around, which, see. And then, you did have people tweeting out to her, that is how many electoral college votes there are.
Yeah, it says it on the website.
Yeah, it's a pretty funny little error that she was when they had to make, bro. But I mean, there's people that are in mainstream media. Isn't that just funny?
Dumbasses. You should.
What's up?
How many people are in the chat? Because it looks like there's only 2 on the Twitch page, in which case we should stop because it's hurting our average.
No, we still got 3 on here, right? Yeah, we got 3 people up on here. Yeah, people jump in and out. Let's keep going, bro.
I need that average, y'all.
Well, let's do the Dave Rubin thing.
Oh, yeah, I want to watch this.
Yeah, so on Fox and Friends, just to set it up, on Fox and Friends, we're talking about James Clyburn and the whole defund the police thing. So the reaction from
really,
So the reaction from
he just fucking gave them the talking point, like
yes, that's exactly what he did by going out there and saying
that's what happens. It's not that like activists on the street say defund the police, right, and then the Republicans hear that and then they blame the Democrats for it, who respond to it stupidly like that.
Well, I mean, that's been the divide up to this point.
So it's like, why can't he just explain it? Like, if he has this platform to critique this policy that the activists on the street are saying that you can't affect, why are you going to take that time to admonish people who aren't going to listen to you? Why not take the time to explain where the activists are coming from and just explain it like a grown-up instead of this like childish, like he's fucking 80 years old and he acts like a kid on the schoolyard, like, you know, trying to like bully the new kid or something.
Right. And this is the tweet from AOC about exactly what you're talking about. This was a call from communities that unfolded in real time. Activists don't focus group. BLM is not the DNC. It's a poll's job. What is a politician's job to own the message? Yeah, it's a politician's job to own their message. By the way, it was effective. NYC is shifting to mental health workers at some 911 calls, and policies change faster than an election cycle.
Yeah, so hell yeah.
The idea here is that somehow these politicians can control the messaging and control the instinctual reactions and the natural and organic reactions from activists on the ground. And so it's a way to go ahead and curtail what was actually being called for, which was defund the police. That wasn't something that was carefully cut up and manufactured by anybody. The way a lot of these politicians are comfortable operating, you know, and at that point, it is not the smartest thing in the world to go ahead and turn against your own base and feed Republicans their talking points. You know, which is exactly what Jim Clyburn and a lot of them are doing. They're playing right into the hands of these people.
Politics. So disgusting.
So then this is what you end up when you have people like Joe Manchin or James Clyburn going out there and saying, "Oh yeah, no, defund the police hurt us." When to all the contrary, evidence to the contrary, it wasn't even true. So let's go to this.
I mean, to be fair, like Manchin, his argument was different. Like,
but
his argument.
Let's see.
House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn is blaming some Democratic election losses on defunding the police movement.
We keep making that mistake, this foolishness about you got to be this progressive or that progressive. That phrase, defund the police, cost Jimmy Harrison tremendously. Sloganeering kills people. Sloganeering destroys movements. Stop sloganeering.
Well, how about stop doing it? Here to react is the host of the Rubin Report and author of Don't Burn This Book, Think for Yourself in an Age of Unreason, Dave Rubin. Dave, now he says it. All you had to do was stand up to Kamala Harris,
like
who was for defunding
the
police out in Los Angeles. They took millions out, as well as $1 billion out of the police budget in the NYPD, and millions out of Minneapolis. Now he speaks up.
Yeah, this is so typical of what has happened with the left and the sort of internal war between the progressives and whatever is left of a moderate Democrat. And I'm not really sure how much is left, although Clyburn's sort of taking the mantle right there. I mean, look, in effect, nobody except the radicals that want violence on the streets and that want mayhem, nobody besides that wants the police to be defunded. Even in places, in black communities where crime is high, they want more policing. I mean, there's a lot of evidence of this. You only want less policing if you want chaos, and I think the progressives in many cases, they do want that chaos because they then think that proves
they're just
that
so
somehow
bloodthirsty.
The state is racist, and that in essence is what allows them to run around and say America is so terrible, look at all of this. But the average person wants law and order. That's just very simple and easily understood by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if there's modernization of policing that could help things get better, everybody wants to do it. Provide the money for that. Extend time in the academy. Whatever the cops say and whatever the experts reveal. By the way, in New York, front page, 2,400 people, officers have said, I quit. That's a 25% increase of all last year.
Cops.
So it is a run for the exits because they get no support from this terrible mayor. And if they were so bad, why didn't Jim Clyburn say this earlier? It would have meant a lot for the country. Meanwhile, yesterday, you would never know it, but the Judiciary Chairman, Lindsey Graham, asked Andy McCabe to come in and explain himself to what he was up to during the Russia probe in the 2016 election. Here's a little of what he gave and what he received.
If you knew then what you know now, would you have signed the warrant application in June of 2017 against Carter Page?
No, sir.
Did you
watch the next part too?
Yeah, now that's enough.
Let's pause it. Let's talk about the.
Yeah, let's go to this. All right, so there's Dave Rubin. He's the lesser grifter, I think, if you're gonna go and weigh him against Temple.
It's just like every single thing he says in his argument is bad faith, and it's like the only reason he was able to do that was because, wait a minute, I just lost those.
Hold on.
The only reason he was able to do that was because Clyburn had that fucking response. If Clyburn had said what AOC said, like, there would have been no response from Dave Rubin grifters. What would he say to that? If she's like, you know, we changed 911 to mental health. Like, this is what we're talking about, just explaining to them one simple thing. So then they can do this whole segment where they fearmonger about chaos and violence on the street instead of, you know, entertaining the proposal in a grown-up, mature manner. Like, oh, this does seem like a good idea. Like, we would rather have, we just had a cop shoot a 14-year-old autistic boy. Like,
And that's not the only time that cops have reacted that way to somebody with a mental health issue. That's not an isolated incident. And it's not a bad idea to go ahead and, you know what, let's reallocate some of these funds from SWAT teams and tear gas to mental health and tanks. Which, by the way, Joe Biden was part of that whole industry that got built up. But that's an aside. But no, I mean, it's and this whole idea of the radical left. Yeah, I mean, I wish we had that much control.
But and our suggestions are so common sense, good things to do.
Yes.
It's not we're right. You know what I mean? And the people agree with us. And instead of actually discussing that like grown-ups, they just do this whole fear-mongering. And the Democrats do it too. Clyburn knows what people are talking about. He doesn't have to act that way. He can explain it like an 80-year-old man should be able to.
Yeah, and at least somebody with that much experience in public life should be able to. I mean, and that's exactly
his experience
structural.
Coming up is activism and stuff too. It's like people have said, MLK's message didn't poll test either. I mean, he was leading the civil rights era. That's not up to them. Mm-hmm. Their job is to, if you can use it to your advantage politically. This is what the activists are saying. This is how I can use it. Right? You either do that or you don't. And if you leave it there and just have the implication with no response, it just looks like that, and lets the right do whatever they want with it. Especially when you do Clyburn didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that publicly. And if he was going to do it publicly, he should have had a better soundbite worked up, right? He was just.
It's just feeding the right exactly what they want.
And it's just that's the kind of thing that they shouldn't They should have people within the party who are smart enough to know that and not let him go on TV with that kind of talking point.
And then it feeds right into this whole thing that's happened since Biden was announced the winner. The election's barely been called for Joe Biden when the Democratic Party centrists began blaming the party's left for underwhelming results in last week's election, no matter every bit of proof to the contrary. And we've gone over on this show a bunch of different kinds of proof that shows that these the policies that have been pushed out by progressives are overwhelmingly popular.
Let's take a look at that article.
All right. Let's see. Here we go. Biden and the Dems should have buried Trumpism, but they provide no alternative. So, the last week election, Democrats performed terribly despite running during a period of unprecedented crisis against a uniquely unpopular president. Donald Trump's 4 years of demagoguery and corporate giveaways should have been easy to run against, but the Democratic Party is unwilling and unable to pose an alternative. So, the election has barely been called for Joe Biden when the Democratic Party centrists began blaming the party's left for the underwhelming results in last week's election, no matter every bit of proof to the contrary. Joining the choir was one of Biden's Republican supporters, John Kasich, who lectured the Democrats that if only they had more clearly rejected the hard left, they had been better appealed to Americans who essentially live in the middle. Again, the numbers are pointing to the opposite, a growing polarization and a hollowing out of the center. More important, the middle ground that does exist provides a terrain that should be more favorable to left ideas, as Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez rightly pointed out. Every single candidate that co-sponsored Medicare for All in a swing district kept their seat, and every single swing district Democrat that accepted AOC's help with their election operation won, while those who refused her help lost. So you talk about her popularity. So in many states and counties that voted red, referenda passed overwhelmingly to increase the minimum wage, fund public education, decriminalize drugs, and implement rent control. In Mississippi, voters elected to replace their Confederate-era flag. On economic issues, this pattern is even clearer, as the Huffington Post reported, according to the polls. So, you can all go read this article at one point or another.
1 out of every 5 Republicans has economic views.
Yeah. Where were we?
More than the with Democrats more than the Republicans, and they hold on, what was that line? I missed it. Go back up. This includes support for increasing the minimum wage, taxing the rich, and providing robust COVID-19 relief benefits.
Yeah.
While votes are still being tallied in a few states, the likely scenario is that Biden won the election with 306 electoral votes to Trump's 232, with a small but significant popular vote lead of 50.5 to 47.4, some 4 million votes. It's a fairly comfortable margin after the drama of election night the following days, but those margins are nowhere near 92, the last time a Republican incumbent president residing over a recession was ousted. Bill Clinton won that election with 370 electoral votes to Bush's 168, and with 43% to 37% of the popular vote. Ross Perot took the remaining 19%. Obama, too, though he didn't run against an incumbent, finished the Democratic Party after re-election. He won 365 to McCain's 173 with 53% of the popular vote. Biden's narrow margins in the Electoral College in a contest against the Republican incumbent with historically high disapproval, high unemployment, a declining stock market on the eve of the election, and a pandemic that he spent the final weeks of the campaign conspicuously spreading and advertising his indifference about containing, can't help but make the Democrats nervous about their odds of retaining power in 2024.
All right, let's go. So, so when it comes to this messaging out from the establishment wing of the party, there's no evidence for their position to say that the left is somehow weakening their.
Dude, we didn't even get to that part in the article. We're still setting it up. I want to see. He's going to list the stats.
All right, let's go to the stats then.
Depression dead end. Scroll down. Their flimsy showing. Party and candidate out of step. The failure to be an effective opposition party, wasting their time. This is like stuff that, yeah, this is.
Well, look, bro. I mean, look.
This is the long arm.
Yeah, that's why I said so. Look, the whole thing though is we know the stats when it came to the election results. The swing districts in particular, because they always like to say the left can't win in swing districts. Well, the left policies did win, and when it comes to that, it needs to be an enforcement of the messaging that is winning. When it comes to things like Biden losing Florida and $15 minimum wage winning in Florida, then there's a problem with the messaging.
Yeah, if they had talked to AOC, like, she could have taken even normie Democrats and given them an economic populist message. She could have just been like, okay, you support the $15 minimum wage. Why don't you run on that? Like, you support, like, this kind of expansion to, Medicare or whatever. You run on that. Like, just giving them tips for, like, how to not be so terrible. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know. It's like they obviously don't want to run on the economic issues. They don't want to make that part of their platform, but it's really dumb. It's kind of hard to see how that's not intentional. It
has to be. There's a reason why they keep punching left, despite it helping them electorally. But all right, let's see. How about we talk about DeSantis?
Oh, my man, he's gonna murder so many protesters.
Yeah, so here's this is pretty funny. Well, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny, I guess, if you have a dark sense of humor. So Florida governor drafts laws that would allow people to shoot looters. So Ron DeSantis, this piece of work, I call it, I said he went full Florida man because it's that fucking crazy.
Oh, I mean, like we were talking about with Cash, man. Fucking Gillum was so close to winning.
Yeah, he really was. But he drafted anti-mob legislation to expand the already controversial stand your ground laws to allow people to shoot looters. So
that's insane.
Yeah,
you can't shoot somebody for property crimes.
Yeah, so the bill will expand the list of forcible felonies under the self-defense law to include criminal mischief causing interruption or impairment of a business. Like, when you read that language, it's even more broad in its scope than you originally started with, and look, it specifically allows force against those looting, which the draft defines as burglary within 500 feet of a violent or disorderly assembly.
No way.
Yeah.
There's no way the court will let any of this
stand. It says numerous other sections enhance criminal penalties for people involved in violent or disorderly assemblies and withhold state funds from local governments that cut law enforcement funding. It's a complete opposite of the defund the police messaging that people are out there marching for.
And we legalize like Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah, exactly. And then see while aid, because like this is personal. This is individual shit. It's not like the state just being authorized to go and shoot people. They're talking about individual people being authorized under an expansion of stand your ground to go ahead and start shooting looters or what they perceive as looters. Because in the middle of all that shit, how are you even going to be able to differentiate?
Yeah.
So it allows for vigilantes to justify their actions. A former Miami-Dade prosecutor, Denise Georges, who handled the stand your ground cases. It allows for death to be the punishment for a property crime.
Yeah,
and it is cruel and unusual punishment. We cannot live in a lawless society where a life is taken so casually and recklessly.
Criminal mischief that interferes with the business.
This is what struck out to me too. Look at Aubrey Webb, former Miami-Dade prosecutor, said that the draft was far too vague and could lead to justifiable deaths after minor infractions. Yeah, I mean the language on its face is too fucking vague. You can go and apply any number of situations under it, and it would probably fall under stand your ground at this point, given that they said, look at. Someone graffitiing Black Lives Matter on a wall, urinating behind a dumpster, blocking an entrance. The Boston Tea Party members would have been lawfully shot under Florida's law by the British East India Tea Company. Yeah,
and that's the point down there at the bottom.
What's up?
It says these are not mobs running around the street. People are using their First Amendment rights.
This is democracy.
This is democracy.
Yeah, and DeSantis
have a chilling effect on free speech.
Yeah.
That's what the point of them is.
Yes.
They want you to not protest because you get shot for
because if something happens, then you can. I mean, does that include the crowd that might be
it
protesting?
Just gives fucking rednecks. It just gives you the right to go shoot anybody you want protesting, basically.
And of course, DeSantis' office did not reply for comment.
Fucking nuts. That's disgusting.
So the Florida. So
he should be voted out of office for that.
Well, we tweeted out from the show. Florida man draft plan to legalize mass murder, which that's not really that far off given what we read up there.
It's like the purge. It's basically like going to legalize the purge. That's what it would turn into.
That's pretty much what it sounds like. Because look, stand your ground, like they mentioned, is already controversial. We know Trayvon Martin was murdered under that, and fucking asshole, what's his name? The dude that walked free?
Zimmerman.
There you go, George Zimmerman. Yeah, walk free, and he's allowed to go and autograph packages of Skittles for a bunch of racist motherfuckers that are proud of what he did. And now extending that kind of law out to protesters, because they're not going to draw a line when it comes to protesters and people that they perceive as looters.
Like I said, it's going to turn into the purge. Let me find it so I can tweet that, because that's what it is.
Yeah. Let's see, I got a couple more things I want to go over before we sign off. So one of the things I was going to ask you about, so with Kamala Harris becoming VP, there's an open Senate seat that Gavin Newsom has to go ahead and fill.
Oh, yeah.
So a couple of maybe unlikely picks have gotten a push by Our Revolution and have been, I guess, in a way, endorsed by Nina Turner. And here we go. So Nina Turner went ahead and tweeted this out. So Our Revolution is circulating a petition to urging Gavin Newsom to appoint Ro Khanna to the Senate to replace Kamala Harris. And then Nina Turner went ahead and retweeted hello somebody at Rokana.
Oh, that would be sick. You think he'll do it?
Oh, that would be, I don't know. Like, from what you know about Gavin Newsom, what are the chances that we're getting here?
I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to pin down. Like, he does wild, like, he's not, like, yeah, he's a shit lib, and he just does, like, what the donors tell him to do and all.
Right.
But, like, he would keep you on your toes, and it's just so hard to predict, like, what, they're going to go, like, it's probably going to be some, like, Facebook executive or something, right? Like, someone terrible, right?
I mean, I would look, and then the other name was being floated out was Barbara Lee.
Yeah, that would never happen. I don't think he would appoint somebody old. I think he would appoint somebody younger.
Well,
Ro Khanna would be perfect.
I actually think Ro Khanna would actually
be smart,
pretty perfect.
He's in Silicon Valley, so he's powerful anyway. Like, he's got powerful donors. Like, if they're happy with him. And, like, I think they are. It's not like he's too insane. Like, I think...
Well, he's, you've called him the lib whisperer before.
Yeah, like, I think he's good at, like, explaining to the libs, like, why we need to do, these, like, left policies or these progressive policies. Mm-hmm. Like, he's good at making it clear that this is not, like, doing competent governance is not bad for the economy, Like, it's... It's not socialism. It's not.
Well, he would be the first. He'd be the first Justice Democrat in the Senate, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Is
he a Justice Democrat?
Yeah, he was. He was a campaign, and he was a campaign co-chair for Bernie's campaign.
Yeah.
So he'd be obviously a great pick.
He doesn't take any corporate money.
I don't
How is he in Silicon Valley and doesn't take any corporate money?
Oh, that'd be if that's the case, then that's even more based. I'd say.
But
the other tweet that I caught was they want Barbara Lee and Ro Khanna to replace Feinstein and Harris.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah, like Barbara Lee,
Feinstein should step down.
Who's that?
Feinstein should step down.
Oh yeah, she's terrible, man. Ugh.
She really is, dude.
Here we go. We had an update to a previous story, bro. Do you want to go into that one? Jeffrey Toobin, you remember him?
Mm-hmm. Did you see Don Jr.?
No, I didn't catch that one.
Don Jr. replied to him.
Oh, well.
Just here for the ratio.
Let me see. No, I didn't. Where's this fucking reply? Well, let me go to the tweet. So Jeffrey Toobin. We had talked about him before. He was he was the writer for the New Yorker, staff writer, and he was the one on the Zoom call who whipped out his dick and started jerking it around.
Virgil's reply is epic.
He didn't realize, I guess, that he was on the Zoom call in front of his colleagues, and went about his JO ways. And I see Virgil from Texas say, "Why were you fired?" As if everybody didn't fucking know. Yeah. I mean,
where's Don Jr.? You said.
I'm not sure. Where was his? There you go.
I'm
just here for the ratio. There's Don Jr. weighing in.
Yeah.
There was
screenshot at that. I'm going to deploy that now.
Yeah, there was. Let's see. There was a funny reply that we came up, and so here we go. Let's see this. So I was fired today by the New Yorker and all that kind of stuff, and then I've been in many group calls. I've not made a mistake of masturbating during them. Just seems like something that somebody wouldn't normally think about doing, because you had questioned whether or not it was intentional, just because he was some kind of perv that liked to be watched or some shit like that, right? But check this. So it was during a break. The dumbass thought the camera was off. But yeah, I mean, this guy's been defending Toobin continually, way too much. He's been accidentally exposed himself in a group setting. So yeah, that was our reply there. But no, I mean, I mean, it's not really unexpected after what he was busted doing. You know, and then something like the new.
I mean, yeah, I think
he's
he's
not
a
even
perv.
busted. It's funny.
I don't even.
Do you still come down on that he was a perv and he was intentional that it would?
Yeah, because there was those stories about him before where he was, you know, creep with women. Like I think he's just a creepy.
So it's just something
guy.
he gets. So you think it's just something
he's
he gets
like
off
Kimberly
on?
Guilfoyle. Like, did you see that story from the other day about how they were entertaining donors and she was like offering to give a lap dance to whoever made the biggest donation, and just like incredibly and like telling everybody about sex things. Like, and Don Jr. apparently was too.
With
they
the
were
right
just
and
like
sex things today, bro.
I
Like,
think it's just those two.
We had Matt Getz over here going after Tiffany Trump, and then we had this one by
that shit
Dinesh
is
D'Souza.
normal.
Look at this, Dinesh D'Souza. Come on, tell me I'm not reading into something here.
Unloaded on his
Ted
face.
Cruz just unloaded on McCabe's face over the ridiculous Logan Act. Double standard. I was about to say double penetration with Biden versus Flynn. Unloaded, folks. He unloaded on.
He says on instead of two. He totally made that switch on purpose.
You know it. Look at there.
He's my favorite right wing smear merchant.
D'Souza?
I love D'Souza. He's the one who does all those takes about how the Democrats are the real racists.
Oh, like, God.
You know, like the Republicans freed the slaves. Like, he's great. The D'Souza verse.
Yeah. Let's see. I have one more thing I wanted to get your take. Actually, two more things.
Who's your favorite right wing smear merchant? Tommy Lahren? Gun Girl?
No, she's Tommy Lahren I just find kind of insufferable.
I think she's more sensible than most of them, though.
When it came to something like, at least she had a little more consistency because she claims to be a libertarian, and then she was saying that a pro-choice position makes more sense as a libertarian.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought that made some kind of sense.
Yeah, and because it's popular. Like, I hate how they never want to admit that their takes are not popular, right? Like,
I mean, would you call a Sagar a right wing smear merchant?
I guess. I mean, he kind of doesn't count. Like,
yeah. I mean, if I gotta pick somebody from the right that I'll listen to, it's probably just gonna be Sagar.
Well, I mean, because he agrees with us on probably, I don't know, like,
he's
30%.
Like that's somebody I would call sensible.
Yeah, he's just, he's honest for the most part, right? He's like, except when he's doing his propaganda.
Yeah.
Right. But like, just most of the people on the right just have this hysterical, like nonsensical. There's no honest discussion with them. It's all just nonsense. Just, like with D'Souza, it's shit like that. It's like, actually, you're the racist if you support BLM. It's all kinds of just like, what do you even like? You know what I mean? It's just such a worthless discussion.
That's another. Actually, think of just back to that AOC tweet that she was talking about messaging from the streets, right? Black Lives Matter is another example of that, by the way.
Exactly.
People want to crap on.
It took a couple years to win over there,
Yeah, and it didn't come out to immediate popularity, and I'm not sure who posted it up, but I saw a tweet about it. MLK wasn't immediately popular either.
Yeah. That's what I said earlier.
Yeah, so these things aren't tried and tested. You win them over by reaching out to people. Like
the people that I talked to on the street gathering signatures for DSA, like they understood. I didn't have to explain it to them. They definitely understood. Like, and the whole concept I love just because it talks about funding. Like it talks about. It introduces you to the concept to think about how your city's funding is distributed.
Exactly.
Which nobody does, right? Like, the only time we ever reference it is, like, maybe a bit discussion about, like, the military budget, like the national military budget, or, like, like the school board, that kind of thing, right? Like, it's very rarely is it discussed in the context of, like, oh, the cops are getting this much, and child care is getting this much. Like, it's
yeah.
It's very important.
All right, I'm a little bit afraid to go here, but last time we did a segment on this dude, we got ratio pretty bad when we put this shit up on YouTube. And we didn't even actually we came out on the bright end of when we did the Pac-Man story.
Let's dunk on Pac-Man then.
I didn't see anything Pac-Man that's worth dunking on him for. Let's go to another dude popular on the left, Mr. Jimmy Dore. He's back. Saying some dumb shit again. So Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman haven't even taken their seats yet, and Jimmy's already smearing them. They are there to fake you out. Those people
say that?
Are head fakes. Now we have more progressives who will do exactly as Nancy Pelosi tells them. So let's play the segment out.
Why would you? How could you look at the way they've been acting?
And Cori Bush, like really Cori Bush? Okay, look, let's just play the segment first.
I don't care if Cori Bush just got elected and fucking Jamal Bowman and the squad, and they're there to fake you out. Progressives inside the Democratic Party are there to fuck you up and fake you out. They're not there to help you. So this idea that somehow now Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman is going to somehow add to the heft of the progressive caucus is just a pipe dream, because you have 6 people or 7 people who are kind of progressive inside the Democratic Party. What that does is gives a false signal to workers that the Democratic Party is an opposition party. It is not. They are there to give you the false impression that it is. And that's why AOC is at the party. That's why Cori Bush is now in the party. They are not taking over this fucking party. That is not happening. Those people are head fakes inside the Democratic Party. More power to Cori Bush. It's a fool's errand to send you into the Democratic Party. You are going to be squashed. Hey, the Democrats just got Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman. We have expanded the squad so that now we have more progressives who will do exactly as Nancy Pelosi tells them.
Okay, Jimmy.
I mean, he's right.
Do you think?
Okay. All right, Jimmy. So, I mean, what? Okay, so this is the problem with Jimmy.
He's like,
I mean, look at this. This is the problem with Jimmy. He has half a salient point there, and then he's picking the wrong targets.
I mean, I don't know. His framing of it is bad, but I think he's right in saying it's a dead end.
Look, that's the thing.
A perfectly defensible take if he's trying to say the Democratic Party is indefensible.
Right.
But
Now,
like,
see,
the way he's framing it, like he's saying that Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman suck. When I don't think that's the case. I just think it's...
And, well, just to go to Ben Dixon really fast. Here we go. Jimmy Dore, keep Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman's name out your cornball-ass mouth. So, this is the thing. It's exactly what you said. Jimmy has a point when he talks. When he may very well have a point when it comes to, all right, it's a fool's errand to go ahead and try to take over the Democratic Party. Yeah. That you might be right about that. But going in, singling out the actual progressives, especially a couple that are good and haven't even taken their seats yet, isn't the way to go about making that point.
Yeah, she's objectively badass too. Like, it's hard to like pay attention to any bit of her and be like, I mean, Jamal Bowman's fucking badass too, but like,
Mondaire Jones. I mean, it's look at. Are they now the framing as in their plans to kind of just placate you? Now that's bullshit.
Yeah,
because they don't want those guys. Really, they wanted Cori Bush in Congress to unseat one of the leaders of the Black Progressive Caucus, right? That's what they wanted. That was a better option for the establishment than to have Cori Bush in there instead of Lacey Clay.
Yeah, exactly. It's trying to find a clip from Bernie. He was on the news tonight, but yeah, like, what'd you say?
No, why would it doesn't make any kind of sense to give up some seat to Cori Bush from Lacey Clay? Why would they want that?
No, it's not. Yeah, him trying to frame it like it's some kind of like they're like plants for the
Right.
the machine is.
That's
I don't know where there's any evidence for that, man.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if you can prove that, and I don't know if it's a good idea to be saying that about these people who are about to come in, knowing with the size of your platform, it just, like, it's not a good look, no matter how you slice it, and it's just unnecessary. Like I said, if you want to make that point, there's other ways to frame it. Like, if we were doing that video, we would be like, oh, you know, it's going to be tough for them to get anything done, even if they actually are committed to it. You know, they only have so many, you know, like, there's only so many voices. But, like,
and despite that, it's like
so doom-pilled.
It is still even debatable whether he's even right about if it's a futile effort to take over the party.
Exactly. You know, and you got to try. Like,
right. And just to go to Cori Bush really fast. So this is what she just sent out today, too. So the base passed $15 an hour minimum wage in Florida. The base legalized cannabis in Arizona, Montana, South Dakota, and Jersey. The base reelected 112 co-sponsors of Medicare for All. The progressive agenda wins. Yeah, that is the person that you really got to direct your shit at, right? You mean you really want to go and direct the person that's not even in office yet, and shoot her down before they even have a chance to work. You know,
I mean, I don't know. I guess that's just his grift. Like, his hustle is to be that guy. But I mean, I just don't know. It's not productive. And
no. And like, I know you're more of a Jimmy Dore guy than I am.
No, I mean, he's right on a lot of shit. Like, he's right on a lot of shit that like was like tough for me to swallow at first, and then like as time went on, you kind of realized that he was right about it. Like, you know, like his whole take about the CARES Act and all, I think he was proven to be right in that, right? Mm-hmm. Like he had the doom-pilled take, and I think he ended up being right. And
no, and see, that's the thing with Jimmy is he does make decent points at some in several instances. It's not even like he's right once in a while, but then every so often he'll go ahead and turn and shoot. He'll shoot left,
and he's just like got this. Like, he's trying to push that People's Party thing, right? I guess, like, he's trying to push the new party, which is fine. But, like, you can't have,
you know, and it's
this
not like
constant attacks on the only thing we have right now. It's like, that gives people hope. Like, even if you thought, like, it was a con, like, I don't think your point about giving people false belief is an accurate thing. I don't think that's how it works. I think people were trying all different avenues at once. Like, there's just hasn't been any representation from a third party. There hasn't been any.
No, and like how well did Howie Hawkins do?
Exactly. Like, you can't, like, if you can start winning some seats, then I think you can come out with that take, right? Like, if you had run any had done any fundraising, done anything. It's just like, you can't say like that's, you know, it's like it's big, like you know, like the kid who got cut from the football team saying like, I don't want to play anyway, like, your team probably sucks, you know, like, it's kind of like that. Like, it's like you.
So, all right, look, just to go over here, like, does the Green Party actually do any voter outreach? What's their angle? Kanye West beat Howie Hawkins.
Yeah.
Kanye got more votes than him.
That's what I'm saying. So how are you expecting people to just give up working with the Democratic Party when that's the kind of thing that's going on outside of the Democratic Party?
Yes. You know, at that point or another, going and voting third party shows as much viability or less. I mean, I would say it shows less viability than at least trying to infiltrate the party. Mm-hmm. You know, at least you have people that are trying to speak out against things. I mean, like Rashida Tlaib came out today. There you go. I can't be silent. I don't expect her to be silent. And you have members of the squad calling out this conservative messaging that's coming out from within the party. You do have people that are there to go ahead and provide some kind of opposition. Even if you want to go, you know, I would buy all day that Democrats are there to feign opposition. That argument on its face is provable, and you can tell by the track record. But but to go ahead and lump the actual progressives that are there into that,
he has all the power, though. He's right about that. Like, Pelosi's the one who does everything. Like, she is the only one that lets a bill get called to a vote. You really do have no power outside of her. Like, she's all powerful within the House. Like, you can't do anything without her approval. You can just do press conferences and shit like AOC does. And it's funny because, like, you know, shitlibs attack her like that she's just all, like, media hype. Like, she just wants to, like, tweet and do, like, you know, media tours all day. And it's like, no, she's exercising the bully pulpit because the party is run by a fucking 80-year-old crone who, like, just has a stranglehold over any kind of activity within the House. So, yeah, they're all kind of like her bitch, right? She runs that party with an iron fist.
Right.
But, like,
But
there's still,
you know, it
there's
looks like
value
she
in
might not have the
agitating.
votes to come back as speaker, though.
Well, it's like somebody's got your boot on your neck, and it's like it's like mocking you for wiggling. You know, it's like you're just like wiggling a little bit, and somebody's like, "Hey, look at him, he's wiggling."
Yeah.
You know, like, it's fucking lame. That's a lame take.
Yeah.
That's the metaphor I was looking for earlier, and I couldn't come up with.
But you know, and speaking of there is the Congressional Progressive Caucus. They're revamping certain aspects of it. Did you catch that article?
Yeah, I sent you that the other night.
Did you? Well, is that where I read it? Well, the Congressional Progressive Caucus are revamping their caucus with an eye towards 2021. So the idea here is to make it harder for grifters to just put that progressive label on them as Congress people. And then the other part of it is the caucus is headed by 2 chairs, right? And they're reforming it to only have 1 chair at the top, because usually what the conservative Democrats in the party like to do is pick off one of those seats in order to influence the caucus. Now,
what do you think is going to happen now? Do you think?
Well, I think that when you have, you know, Pramila Jayapal and you are trying to go ahead and make these changes to actually make it a progressive caucus, and that is a way to go ahead and infiltrate the party.
Yeah, I'm just trying to picture how it's all going to work. Like, it sounded like Grimm was optimistic about it, but it's still, there's not really any teeth in it, right? Like, they,
I mean, there is teeth in it.
They're expected to vote the right way, but they don't actually have to vote that way, you know?
See, look at this. Under the current CPC rules, any Democrat willing to write a small dues check of $4,000 per year to the group can become an official member regardless of their politics. Their source of campaign financing, their voting record, or even their attendance at CPC meetings, regardless of any of those kinds of things. The benefit for moderate Democrats who fear facing primary challengers from the left is that they can tout their membership as evidence of progressive bona fides without delivering anything of substance. So, the proposed changes to the CPC are intended to move it in a tighter direction. The point of the reform is to shed free-riding members that claim CPC membership but aren't actually progressive. So the Jayapal said that the caucus may indeed shrink if the reforms are implemented. We're ready for that to happen. I just would rather have people who are really committed to the progressive caucus, to the progressive caucus in the caucus, and participating rather than just sort of having it as a label. So that is effective, though, when you're talking about how successful we've already been at primarying these incumbents. And it is something that they like to do. They like to go ahead and tout that, oh, I'm a member of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it does. I mean, it could be good, right? Like, I don't think they'll be able to control everybody, but if they can keep like 2/3 or so who are really committed to doing good shit, then we could have some action.
Right.
You know,
I mean,
we could
look,
even start
we're
to split off, and like, that's how you form a third party, right? Like,
you need at least enough.
You know, you take 50 congressmen and start it. You know?
Start it, right? And like at that point, there's 100 members in the caucus. If you keep 2/3 of them, that's 67. You have a 8-seat majority in the House coming forward, right? I mean, those are at least some kind of numbers that you have to respect. That's coming from that caucus. It has to mean something at the end of the day, right? So,
yeah, this could be tight.
I
mean, like I said, it sounded like AOC's pissed off. right? Like I feel like she's gonna do some shit, and I'm not sure what exactly. But like, she's ready to make some moves here. I feel like, and I think Jayapal is too. I feel like
they're all
kind
ready
of
to kind of make a couple moves here. I mean,
I mean, it's promising. It's like it's another reason why it sucks to be so doom pilled for them right now, because it's like some shit's going on. I don't know. Like it's not all. There's no reason to just start this fight unless you're trying to make moves.
Exactly.
Like, you know, obviously we had to respond to it, but like, I feel like they had this shit in the works for a while because it kind of all happened this week. You know.
Right. All right. So the last story I wanted to go ahead and wrap up on. We're still looking for more information on it, but it did catch my eye. Was a story about ICE detention centers. We've already talked about that fucking Nazi doctor that was removing the uteruses out of women that were being held in detention. And now there's another story that was circulating around. At least I caught it here. About ICE gas chambers. So let's see. So ICE detention centers are literally activating full-blown gas chambers. Now this is still developing, so we're going to go ahead and verify, but I did want to go ahead and share it anyway. Apparently there was some kind of disinfectant gas here that is being used to that is being used in these detention centers. It contains this. It was I'm trying to find the name of the chemical here. There you go. So the people in the notes are saying that this isn't gassing, it's a disinfectant, or people being sprayed on surfaces to avoid COVID, and people are just having allergic reactions to it. So that's the explanations for the reactions that people have been having up until now. So the guards are spraying this disinfectant in retaliation for the report that revealed deplorable health conditions in detention centers. The HDQ, an industrial strength disinfectant, which according to the manufacturer is harmful if inhaled and causes severe skin burns and serious eye damage. The guards are spraying it on everything every 15 to 30 minutes. According to the sources, and immigrants in the center have already experienced severe symptoms including blisters, rashes, bleeding, fainting, breathing difficulties, headaches, stomach pains, and nausea. So it's not just an allergic reaction. It's a severe misunderstanding of what disinfectants do and a refusal to acknowledge how serious this is and why people are freaking out. No, they're not literally being gassed in the grandiose way you'd think of being shoved into an iron chamber like animals that is being filled with gas and melts their skin, but they are being forced into small areas with harmful fumes and surfaces covered in chemicals that are made to eat living matter. If you have been in a room for days and weeks with bleach or peroxide over everything, you don't need to be allergic to start having severe reactions. Cleaning chemicals say to use protective gear and ventilate the area for a reason. So are ICE detention centers gassing immigrants with chemical disinfectants? So detainees in unventilated immigration customs enforcement facilities are being exposed to toxic chemicals not intended for inhalation. So this is from Business Insider in Australia. It says 2 advocacy organizations have filed a complaint alleging that immigration and customs enforcement in a detention center is using a COVID-19 disinfectant on the facility over 50 times a day. The Inland Coalition for Immigrant Justice and Freedom for Immigrants compiled the testimonies of detainees who stated that HDQ neutral is being used in unventilated areas, which its manufacturer Spartan Chemical warns can be harmful as it causes skin burns and serious when inhaled. So
do you think they're doing it on purpose?
I mean, like the COVID outbreaks in these detention centers has become a serious problem, but the fact that they're using it repeatedly, I saw 50 times a day, twice an hour?
50 times a day?
Twice an hour?
Wow.
It seems malicious. They know that it's a chemical that's harmful. They've seen the reactions.
Are they spraying it themselves, or is it like machine deployed or something?
I'm trying to see what they're saying about it. Like all it says here is that they were
So they just come through and like clean the cells with the bleach twice an hour.
Was it called HDQ?
That's got to be malicious.
HDQ neutral is what it's called.
It's probably some just intense cleaning solvent, right?
Yeah. See, look, it's right here. HDQ neutral. I can't get this thing to zoom in.
I can't. What's it made of?
Yeah, it's a disinfectant for industrial and institutional use only. So causes severe skin burns.
Is it aerosol or is it spray?
No, it's not meant to be inhaled, is what it says. It's harmful if swallowed, and you're meant to wear protective gear if you're using it.
It's fucked up, man. These people are just seeking asylum, like, and they're just tortured.
I mean we're gonna have to keep an eye on this thing going forward to see what's happening. But if half of this stuff,
Joe Biden has got to clean up these fucking ICE camps, man. They're so lawless. Like, they're just running free, and like, he should shut them all down, right? Is what he should do.
Right.
That's the only acceptable response. Anything other than that is going to be a failure, crime against humanity.
So,
like, if he was smart, he would make that like a big thing he did in his first 100 days, right? Like, he would do like a big press conference and like go and like shut him down himself, you know?
Well, look at this one. Detainees in Adelanto Detention Center in California said that many have fallen severely ill due to the constant spray. So the spray's constant then, with at least 9 falling severely ill since May 11th. When I blow my nose, blood comes out, one inmate said. They are treating us like animals. One person fainted and was taken out. I don't know what happened to them. There's no fresh air. So, I mean, keep in mind, this is an industrial strength solvent that is being sprayed through where these detainees are kept, and there's no ventilation.
Yeah, man.
You know, I mean, think about it. If you ever cleaned with bleach or any kind of cleaner, and you don't have any air coming through other than the cleaner, it's not going to be good for you. You know, that it doesn't take a genius to figure out, if you're using some kind of industrial strength solvent with no ventilation, what it's going to do to the people that are kept in confinement there. And not even that, the constant spraying of it. Yeah. You know, the constant spraying from me is what gets me.
Yeah, I couldn't find the clip, but Bernie was on PBS tonight, and they asked him about this controversy, and he gave the right argument. He was like, basically said, if you look at the polls, like, our agenda is super popular, and the opposite is true. Like, the wishy-washy centrists hurt the Democrats themselves because people weren't clear where they stood, which is what the data says, right?
Right. But yeah.
Sorry, I just saw that tweet. I wanted to mention when I saw we were still talking about ICE.
Yeah. No, that's cool. But yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and get that story out there in case more develops from it. I mean, you know,
it's hard to think. Like,
I mean, from what we read,
I think there's a good possibility he might go do that. He might make a big show of it
to shut down the centers.
Yeah, but
yeah, that'd be nice to see.
He also might not. It's hard to say what exactly he's going to do. He's going to maintain the Obama era policies, right? That's what I've been reading.
Right.
So, like, the camps were existed under Obama. They just were a lot less used, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know what. Like, do you think he's going to cancel building the wall? Like, do you think he's going to like make a big show of, like, you know, knocking down Trump's wall or something?
I mean,
I don't think so. I don't think he'll do that.
Possibly.
But I think he might shut the camps down.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the stuff that's going on in there, those things need to be done. But
like, he ran on that explicitly,
right?
Well, like, he didn't actually run on, like, closing down the camps, right? What did he? He just ran on not doing separations.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know what kind of.
I mean, but that kind of outlandish shit, I don't think would continue under Biden. Maybe I'm just being naive about that, but I mean, I
think he'll stop separations.
Yeah,
right?
I think so too. But I mean, if some kind of health hazard like that is actually going on, whether it's malicious or it's not malicious, it can't be something that actually is going on. You know, that's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
But,
it's just every week it's a new atrocity at these camps. Like
Yeah.
they're incredibly lawless. They're like, you know, like you'd picture at some like, it's like when you think of like refugee camps in like the Sudan and shit like that. It's like that's the kind of conditions they're making through, like on purpose. Like you're specifically making it a hellhole. Like
yeah,
it's not good. Like
No.
Biden was smart; he would do it. It's very, very unpopular if people understood. You know, not to mention the humanitarian crime, but like
Right.
the political points there is it's an easy win. But I mean, they're so incompetent. It's hard to see them doing anything right. You know.
Well, we'll have to keep our eye on that one. But oh wait, there is one more thing here. I want to make sure you had talked about the Pfizer thing. Did we talk about that already?
I don't know if we did, but yeah, didn't we talk about it? I mean, it looks good, dude.
All right. Yeah, just that you had a couple of tweets out here that about
I think
this. Let me see. Did we talk about these that you did? Putting aside that Pfizer apparently did this outside Operation Warp Speed, which in my opinion was a hustle to reward the bootlickers anyway. It's hilarious that the vaccine comes out the Monday morning after Biden wins. Did you think there was anything to that timing after all?
Kind of, but I mean, it's hard to see what the advantage would be. Like,
I mean, to not give Trump a win.
yeah, but he's still going to have to deal with it, right? Like, I guess giving him a win before the election, you mean? Yeah. I feel like, yeah, that's probably on purpose, right?
You know, but the timing of it was in line with what Pfizer originally was telling people, that they were going to be expecting it about the first week or two of November anyway.
Yeah, well, I think they made a determination that I don't know though. I don't know what Pfizer's interest was, but like if they didn't get Operation Warp Speed money, right?
Right.
Either because they were already close with their own vaccine and they didn't want to be like involved with the government, or because they didn't want to be associated with Trump, or because Trump didn't, they didn't have a deal worked out. Because like I said, the companies that got money, I'm sure that's like, friends of friends and stuff like that, right? Like, if not, like, because we found out that he had an interest in the French company that did hydrochloroquine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think you'd find that there's kind of weird relationships like that, like, up and down the chain. And it's like, that's kind of the thing about him that's so bad is like, a lot of people are corrupt and they'll do corrupt shit to, like, help their kids and all. But it just seems like he's willing to do, like, major like culturally significant things, like endorse this medicine because he stands to make like a few $1,000s off of it, right? Like not even like a lot of money. It's just like he owns like, I think it was $5,000 worth of stock in this company, and that was enough to make him go spend months like talking about. Remember how hardcore he was into hydrochloroquine, like back in the springtime? Just talking about it nonstop, acting like it was some wonder drug, and like I feel like he made like nothing, like barely anything at all off of that. And it's just like that's kind of was the moment when I like just felt that like he wasn't going to do anything good. Like he was just like a complete failure of president, like realizing that there was no hope, no prayer.
All right, well, I think that's about all we got today. We're probably gonna go. We'll stream tomorrow, right?
We stream every night.
Yeah, we'll stream most nights. We'll probably take one day off during the week, but we appreciate everybody for joining us today. Matt's going to go ahead and have us raid everybody on Twitch, on YouTube. Then, yeah, if you haven't subscribed to us, go ahead and subscribe. That'd be pretty awesome. And if you're looking to follow the show for updates, go ahead and look for us on Twitter at Unelectable A. Yep, that's where we'll be.
Let's see who's streaming. Black holes. I heard that Muse song today.
Which one?
In my head. The one I'm singing. Black holes in revelation. I don't even know what he says.
You got somebody?
We gotta follow some more channels so I know who to raid.
Yeah. Alright. Let me see if I just signed this one off then. Can you still raid it if...
Stop. Don't fuck around. I mean, there's nobody left. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Alright.
Oh.